All right, so we're going to be starting our NVivo course, and we want to have a refresher on qualitative data analysis. So, what is qualitative data analysis? Qualitative data analysis is a type of study or a type of research where you, as a researcher, you go out to find out, to explore the behaviors and experiences of persons, of human beings on particular subjects. For example, our case study in this particular training, we're going to be using the perception, the experiences of Yaoundé city dwellers on healthcare access during the COVID-19 era. And so, as a researcher, you're going out to find out their behavior, the meaning of things like why they behave in a particular way, and then what they think. Also, the context, like the background story. People behave in a particular way because they come from a particular background, or their experiences or their thought patterns have been shaped by their life experiences. And so when we go out to find all of this information from people and gather the information into documents, we are actually doing qualitative research. So unlike quantitative research where you gather numbers and do inferential or descriptive statistics, in this case, we're gathering simply text. And so we go into details and get the depth of it over numbers in quantitative. And most often researchers do mixed methods where you do quantitative and qualitative, and the qualitative tells you the why behind the what that is in quantitative. So, as mentioned, we explore life experiences like the experiences of first mothers on healthcare access. Maybe first time pregnant women have some fear, or they have some stigma. Like a colleague once told me that whenever she was pregnant, she used to be scared of moving out because people would see and say, "Oh, look at this girl who is having sexual intercourse and now she's pregnant." So these are the things that you can explore, the perception of people, their experiences, used to understand decision-making processes. You can also explore documents like UN documents, WHO documents, national documents, policies, in order to come out with themes and patterns. You can also evaluate programs and projects, maybe midterm or inline, by asking the experiences of the beneficiaries, by asking their perception of the projects and how they feel that they were treated and all of that. Once you gather all of that information, it gives you qualitative data analysis. And that is when you should do qualitative analysis. So all of this explanation I have been giving is all talking about when you should do qualitative analysis, exploring life experiences, studying perceptions, understanding decision-making processes like how WHO come about principles, and talking about evaluating projects and programs and investigating complex social issues. For example, how COVID-19 affect the healthcare access, both socially, emotionally, and otherwise. So, what is qualitative? Okay. So, what is qualitative data? As mentioned before, qualitative data is text, and so you can gather qualitative data through interviews, through focus group discussions, through open-ended survey questions, through policy documents, as I've explained in the slide before this one. Can be audio recordings, video recordings, social media text, and field notes and observations. Some researchers can go out just to observe how people do things, and then they note down a concept. They note those things down. That's the qualitative data. Anything that you gather in the form of information that is not numbers is qualitative data, and it can be textual, it can be a narrative, it can be a description of something, but written or being spoken out, or being recorded. Okay. So, um, what computer software can you use to analyze this type of data? It is the type of computer software that can be used to analyze this data fall in the group called computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software, which is called CADAS. And this software, well, the software actually organize your data, help you to code the data, retrieve patterns, compare cases, visualize themes, and you can use them to generate reports. And you should note that these softwares do not automatically analyze the data for you. They don't automatically do coding for you. They only assist you. They work as your personal assistant to be able to help you come out with the themes. Because in qualitative research, we're going out to explore experiences and we can come out with themes. For example, the Abraham Lincoln or the Abraham hierarchy of need theory. Not Abraham Lincoln, but the Abraham's theory hierarchy of needs theory was actually come into being by qualitative research. So people's behaviors, people were interviewed on their behaviors, on their needs, and all of that. And at the end of the day, those hierarchy of needs emerged as themes, and then the research was published. So in qualitative data, you can go out, explore, and come up with theories like that one. All right. So there are many qualitative data analysis tools, as you can see on the screen, but the one that we're going to talk about in this training, we're going to be using in this training is NVivo. And NVivo actually has it can help you to organize your data in 7 steps. You have to import your data, organize your cases, code segments, develop themes, run queries, visualize patterns, and write findings, which we are going to see that. And your files, your data can get into NVivo as Word documents, PDF files, Excel sheets. For Excel sheet, each row will be a participant, which is a case. In this case, we call participants or rows cases. In SQL, you can call that records. In Excel, you can call that rows. But in this case, we call cases. Your data can come as video files and images. But take note that if your data is coming in as video files and audio files, you have to transcribe them before you import into NVivo, which is very important. You could still code segments of audio, but it is best when you transcribe your data. The very first time I used NVivo to do qualitative analysis, it was video recordings, and I didn't have the means to uh, transcribe, to pay for transcription. By then, AI was still at its early stages, so I had to code segments of audios. It was a great research at the end of the day, but then the best practice is to transcribe everything into text before you import to NVivo. And in NVivo, when we talk about coding, we simply talk about labeling segments of text. That means you highlight a text. Maybe I avoided hospitals, as you can see on the screen, and then you can say, okay, you as a researcher, this can fall under fear of infection or fear in general. And so you code that particular segment under fear. And if you see any other text that has to do with fear, maybe I was afraid to go to the hospital because I was scared of taking of injections or of laboratory test, you can, or result of a laboratory test, you can code that under fear. And so at the end of the day, it is the researcher that is a key person in this qualitative analysis and not the analysis tool, because you have to go through the script one sentence by sentence, word by word, and you do your coding. And the case is usually your participant, as we have said. It could be defined as female to the 80 years living in Yaoundé, Cameroon. And then your theme are actually groups of quotes that mean similar things or mean the same thing. So you can have a pattern that can emerge when you do your coding. You can group maybe fear, maybe stigma. You can group all of that into a particular cluster, and that can form a theme, which is what you will use in your reporting. That's very important. And so you can visualize your data in NVivo, and you can have word frequencies. You can have matrix codings like comparing themes, relationship between themes. Like you can have a theme for fear and a theme for stigma, and you can see if more youths or more elderly persons were emerge. The themes that emerged most in them was fear or it was stigma. You can also compare uh, uh, attributes like gender and maybe level of education across maybe a particular theme or a particular code. You can do concept mapping, and you can visualize relationship to pin the particular reason for, maybe if we're talking about fear, in this case, fear of infection or stigma. You can be able to connect the dots to see whether, first of all, is leading to. So because of fear of stigma, they don't go to the hospital, and they don't go to the hospital, they end up giving birth at home and maybe having complications. So you can use NVivo to create kind of maps, that concept maps like that and charts. So very, very interesting software. And so for our training, we're going to see all of that. And so we are going to get straight into NVivo to import our data and then note our cases, and then we can do coding and continue. So when you open your NVivo tool, this is NVivo 15. That's why you can see the left side is published. It's purple. NVivo 15, I think, is blue. So when you open your software, you have your recent projects, as you can see on the left, and you can check settings and arrange a few things that's totally fine if you want to adjust a few things. But you can open a sample project and you practice. You have them up here. But then what we want to do is we want to get ourselves a new project. And of course, even on the right-hand side of NVivo, you can get into the NVivo community and collaborate with others, ask questions and all of that. You can also log out of your account. So when you create a new project, you click on new project, and the new project name, you can just write what I have been working on, which is experiences. So you can type experiences of Yaoundé. Let me abbreviate it with YDE. City dwellers. Yaoundé is the capital city of Cameroon. For those who are watching from out of Cameroon, city dwellers healthcare, on healthcare access during COVID-19. Okay, during COVID-19. So you can write that as the name of your project, and you can describe it if you want. That's totally fine by you. You can keep a log of user actions. That's very important. And then you can browse here to save this particular project in your computer. So for me, I want to save this inside the folder called NVivo in my computer under ETS Analytics, and I can come over to NVivo and I save it right there. And then you can take next, and then you can just leave this as it is, which means it will not auto-save, but it will prompt you to auto-save every 15 minutes, and it will keep some copies of your recent files, maybe 2 files if you don't mind. And so that in case there is a crash, you can recover some files, which is similar to Microsoft Word or Excel recovering files when you accidentally close your file. So when this is done, you just click create, and you wait for a few seconds, and your project is created. So you cannot import files into NVivo if you have not created a project. So start tour, you can, click to see what NVivo offers you. They tell you where you can import. They tell you where you have your data files, which is the navigation pane, and you can, click to see this tour. You can take this tour, but then you can take exit, and now you're on your NVivo screen. The left-hand side is your navigation pane, and you have your different folders, the data folder where your files will be found when you import them, and then you have the coding space where your codes will be found when you do your coding. This sentiment is for example, if you're analyzing social media data where you have people's comments and you want to track if it is a positive or negative comment, you can use sentiment analysis. And of course, you have relationships, and you have all of these queries, visualizations, which we're going to see all in the course. And you can always right-click anything on your left-hand side, and you will be able to open anything you want in NVivo. And on the top, it is similar to what you have on the left-hand side. You have the home tab, you have where you have clipboard. The other things are still grayed out because we have not imported any file yet. Then you have import, you can import your files here. We have create, you can create relationships here. You can create a code, or you can come over to the left-hand side where you have coding. You right-click and you take new code. It's the same thing. So you can always do things in NVivo two-way. There's a two-way format. You can do it on the top, at the top here, or on the left-hand side. You have explore, you have share, you can collaborate, you can share your project, you can export it into Excel, most often I like to export my codes into Excel for good visualization. Then you have modules here. So we're going to come over to import here. We're going to take files. Once we import files, and we'll go to the folder where we have saved our file. As you can see, it is the folder for Yaoundé Key Interview Informant Transcript. We open the folder and we have our 9 transcripts there. So the transcript are Word documents. You can have PDF documents. So I just click Control A to select all of them, and then I take open. And then, very important, I want to create a case for each imported file. That's very important. I want to do that for my data because at the end of the day, I want to do a little bit of cross tabulation to see if males in Yaoundé think in a particular way or had different experiences compared to women. So I want to create that. If you don't want to do that kind of analysis, you can just go ahead and uncheck this, create new case, and you're good to go. So I take create new case, and the cases in this my research are actually my participants. It could be patients if you're working in healthcare research, they could be students or whatever. But in this case, or in this research, they are participants, and I write participants, and I take import. And then you pressing for NVivo to import all your files. You can see down here the progress bar in green showing that 0 item. But once that will be uploaded, imported into NVivo, you will see that this will change to the number of files that you have. So we're patient for it to import. Okay. Once your files are uploaded, you come and click on File here. You'll see all your files, and you can see 9 items at the bottom here. So what the last thing that I want to do before we end this video or this recording or the first day of our training is that we want to identify those cases that we actually told NVivo that our cases are participants, but we have not linked we have not linked that to any attribute yet. We've not told NVivo that this participant is a male, is a female, and all of that. So we are going to come right down here to where we have classification, where we have cases. See where we have cases here. You click the arrow to open it up, and then you have cases here. So you have case classifications, you click on case classifications and you see participants. Why do you see this? You see this because when you were importing your files into NVivo, you actually name the cases as participants. So I will right click participant here and I will take new attribute. And what is this new attribute? My data has sex or gender. In this case, we call it gender, although it's male and female. And then it has age, it has occupation. If I click any of the files like up here, maybe I should close this attribute first of all. By clicking of this file here, it's going to open and you will see what I am explaining. This particular participant is a female, 28 years, and she lives in Mokolo, Yaoundé, and she is a market vendor. So I want to put this information in NVivo. I want NVivo to identify these cases as you see in the transcript here. So I come to participant, and right click, I take new attribute. The first attribute is gender. And gender is text, so I leave it text as it is. I take OK. And when you do that, you can open the classification sheet. So I right click on participants and I take open classification sheet. You'll see that we have gender right there. And so if I right click again, I take new attribute. In this time, I'll take age. Then age is integer. I take on integer. I take OK. You'll see that my classification sheet has age here. I right click since we have 4 attributes. So attribute in this case could be your categorical variable if you're working with quantitative data. So I take new attribute. The next attribute I have here is location, which is text. Then the last attribute we have is occupation. So I write occupation, which is also text. Then we take OK. Right, that's fine. So now we want to code our data. We're not coding already. We want to now link each of these files to the attribute that we have already identified. So how do you do that? You come to the first file, and then you right click on the first file, and then you are going to take new attributes. No, not new attributes. New attribute. 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 New attribute We have our classification sheet open. You don't need to open any file to do the classification. We already have our classification sheet open here. Let me close it and open it again for you to see. You come right where you have your case classifications at the left here. Take participants, you right click, you take open classification sheet. And so the very first participant is, we already opened that file, which you can see up here. So it is kind of like a sheet in Excel. If I open it, you see it's a female 28 living in Mopolo and is a market vendor. So if I come to my classification sheet, I can put a female, maybe F, age is 28 and lives in Mokolo, and she is a market vendor. Okay, so you have to manually do all of these. But once you have gender, the two male and female, you can always choose the drop down. So if I open the second participant, which is P2, you'll see that that file opens and it's May, 35 years, Bastos taxi driver. So if I come back to my classification sheet, I double click here, I type male, he is 35 years, he lives in Bastos. So you have to double click, he lives in Bastos, and he is a taxi driver. So taxi driver. So the third participant, you have to do the same thing for all of them. But now you can always choose the drop down. Since you already have male and female, you can choose a drop down. And the third participant should be a female. Let's just open it and see. So for your assignment, you're going to be able to finish the So for the third participant, we have female 41, Vokada, and his hairdresser. So come here to classification sheet, female 45. Is that 45? 41. Okay. Female 41. Female 41. 41. So we have to remove. She lives in Vokada, which is a neighborhood in the city of Yaoundé, Cameroon. And he's a modelist, or a hairstylist. That's the name. So you'll complete all of this. The link to access all of these files is in the description section of the video if you're watching on YouTube. So you access it and then you complete for the other 6 participants. And then when next we come, we're going to start with our coding. See you next time.